Planning talks for a new public transit option, trying to preserve a historic East Side mansion by building a high-rise, and a tense job interview for the city's development commissioner. This is Council Rewind, and I'm Dustin Weiss. Anyone who's ever traveled the I-94 corridor at rush hour can tell you it's tough to get from west to east or vice versa in any kind of hurry. The Milwaukee County Transit System is exploring better options between the Regional Medical Center in Wauwatosa and downtown Milwaukee. But first, they have to secure a $36 million grant from the federal government. And since the bus rapid transit line would run on city streets, on July 13th, they appeared before the Public Works Committee seeking the council's blessing.
All we're being asked is to endorse the concept of bus rapid transit, essentially using Wisconsin Avenue from the lakefront to the Milwaukee County Regional Medical Center. There's a possible alternative route for one or both directions on Wells Street in the Central Business District. Other than that, again, it's a very conceptual plan. We have very few details. I suspect when we get into the details, there may be considerable concerns expressed about aspects of the project, especially in the neighborhoods west of 10th Street, and in particular the neighborhoods west of 35th Street, in the Story Hill area, along Blue Mountain Road, and other residential areas. But that being said, this is a concept, and they wish our endorsement of that concept for purposes of making an application to the Federal Transit Administration for a small starts grant, which would fund up to 80% of the capital cost.
The map you see over here is one of the results of this study and basically identifies the locally preferred alternative. Or more simply put, this was the conceptual alignment in which the BRT system could operate. So essentially it would begin downtown at what would be the Couture site, travel along Wisconsin Avenue, go down Holly Road, across further on Blue Mound, up on 95th Street, through the MRMC to the Swan Boulevard Park and Ride. Now, next slide. To put things in a larger perspective, this corridor is really what we consider the spine of the Milwaukee County Transit System. This is the area in which statistically and historically we have seen the highest levels of ridership throughout. This also would be an alignment that intersects with many bus routes within the MCTS system.
Number one is the transit riders. It improves the existing corridor, the transit service by operating about every 10 minutes on the weekdays and arriving at the stops about every 5 minutes during rush hours with either the BRT or the Route 3030X which is in the city of Milwaukee. Overall, we're seeing about a savings with this project about 13 minutes in transit travel time between downtown and the Swan Lake Boulevard.
Current travel time.
Current travel time is about, it takes about 55 minutes to go from end to end, and we're saying that we can probably do that. What our travel time estimates are saying is about 35 to 38 minutes. So
about a 20% improvement.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So if you're looking at how that translates over the year, it's about 112 hours per year for the riders that are on there. Some people are asking, how many minutes does it save between the downtown and MRMC? It's about 8 minutes there. Connecting downtown to Miller Park would take about 15 minutes to do that run to get down to Miller Park. Our Marquette to the Milwaukee Art Museum would be about 11 minutes. Wauwatosa to Riverside about 23 minutes. Recognizing that everybody's not going to go from end to end. Certain people have destinations that they're going to want to be looking at. Some of the examples and features you can see in some of those pictures there is platform design. It would basically be a roll-on to the bus that you would be able to, if you're in a wheelchair, have a bike, have just a stroller, you could roll onto the bus. It also has, in some cases, you can have exclusive travel lanes, fewer stops that's out there right now, more frequent bus buses that would be coming every 10 minutes, and then also would have off-board fare payments. So a lot of the times where buses really slow up is people trying to make fare. You pay at the station before you get on the bus.
Okay, could you maybe explain for us, this is projected to be a $42 to $48 million project, capital cost. What exactly are we buying over and above what's there now? Because there is existing bus service. It is an express service, the Gold Line, which means it stops a little less often than regular service, approximately every 4 blocks versus every 2 blocks. What are we, in addition to the new vehicles which are proposed to be purchased, what's the $42 million for? Sometimes folks get a hard time getting their arms around, well, why does it cost so much to just run another bus on an existing street?
Sure. Just a couple of the major cost drivers, let's call them, is the vehicles. The vehicles, we're going to be purchasing about 12 vehicles. Each of those vehicles is between about $800,000 to $1 million. So that's, let's just say $12 million right there out there. The stations are expensive as well, are one of the major cost drivers as well. Each station is about somewhere between $300,000 to $400,000, and we're looking at, I think, 24 stations along the line, both. So that would be another cost driver. Other cost drivers would be the transit signal priority, the real-time information, all of that, and all of that needs to go in, mostly fiber optics, and that would be built along with that BRT. And then finally would be some of the any dedicated lanes that we would be looking at. Also, even if it's not a dedicated lane, that mixed traffic lane, you would look at looking at that as well then too. Any others that you can think of?
No, I think those hit pretty much the key drivers from a cost perspective.
Mr. Chair?
Alderman Kovac, yes.
So the stations being 300,000 to 400,000, is that because you're building these platforms so you can have ADA access, or is it because of the kiosk technology, or both?
It's everything. The stations include the kiosk, and that kiosk costs anywhere. A smaller is about $100,000. A larger one, like this picture here is a smaller one that's about $100,000. This happens to be the system in Grand Rapids, Michigan. They have a larger one that's about $250,000. And so so you can kind of see it's a sort of a signature architecture. It really depends on what the city would like, but yes, it would be everything inclusive with that station.
Are you replacing the Gold Line?
The Gold Line is not going to be replaced. It'll be on the west end. It will end at. It'll come from Waukesha and end at MRMC, where you can then get onto the BRT, and then also it will go from downtown Milwaukee up the east side up to UWM.
But there would be ways to, obviously during engineering, Alderman, to look at if that underlying service truncates in that fashion, if there's something that would continue along the alignment at a greater frequency than currently exists.
Currently, fall of 2015, essentially current time, Gold Line currently handles 5,400 average weekday riders. The 30 route, about 8,400 weekday riders, and the 30X, about 6,000 weekday riders. Of course, that's not all in the segment that we're considering here. Although a significant percentage is lakefront to 35th Street. That is where the core ridership is. West of 35th Street, there's fairly low ridership, actually. So I do think we need to shore up these numbers, but I think that's what the further...
Well, I am concerned because, these numbers are important, and we're seemingly getting different numbers. So you're getting 5,400, they're telling me 8,000 to 9,000. That's a pretty significant difference.
Well, please understand that as we've never changed the numbers since we've conveyed them to the public 3 months ago. So, I mean, the numbers it's a complicated idea of an origin and destination and how many people go from point A to point B on a daily basis. So there are thousands of people. I think the core point is there are thousands of people using this corridor for transit. There are major demand drivers within this corridor. Our ridership model, which is based off of Sewer PAC's local origin destination model, follows the federal stops administration's, the federal FTA's administration's ridership demand model is producing these numbers. So we're not pulling them out of thin air. I think the core is that this is a major transit corridor, and we've seen both in our model and in peer cities great increases in ridership.
On the condition that the BRT line didn't remove parking spaces along its route, the council voted 14-1 to endorse the project. Driving along Prospect Avenue on Milwaukee's east side, you're mostly surrounded by high-rise apartments and condos that line the bluff overlooking Lake Michigan, with one notable exception. Built in 1898, the historic mansion known as the Gull House sits between the towers like a sapling among trees, and years of disuse and neglect have left it near the end of its useful life. But a Madison-based developer thought they had a creative solution. On July 19th, they took their plan to the Zoning, Neighborhoods, and Development Committee.
We discussed briefly the Gull House. There's obviously a lot of history there, but I think it's more than just the building itself. It's the architects, it's the people who live there. And a building of this prominence to be in a state of disrepair any longer than it unfortunately has been would be problematic. And so what we're proposing to do here today is to save this building and save it into the future, because it will actually be relocated, as you've heard, not once, but twice, to make this development happen and to make this parcel developable. So its current location, you can see here indicated in orange. We actually moved that building towards the bluff so that we can build a new foundation to replace the foundation that's crumbling beneath the existing building as it sits, and then relocate the building on that new foundation towards the street, so it generally aligns with the buildings both to the north and the south, and puts it in a position of prominence where it should be along the streetscape. The building program for that site plan that we were just showing, as you know, is a 27-story building with a penthouse. It's 192 units. There's 4 stories of above grade parking, and that includes interior at grade parking. And then there are 2 stories of below grade parking integrated with the foundation of the new tower and the foundation of the Gull Mansion itself, and that allows for 212 parking stalls.
Mr. Chair?
Alderman Quebec.
How big of a moving van will you be able to get into the garage?
At this point, we've got a 16-foot floor-to-floor between the first floor and the second floor, which in our estimation right now allows for a 12-foot high moving van for as long as 31 feet. This is the upper level above the parking levels. The 5th floor, it has an area of amenity space towards the lake side of the building, and that includes a theater, a business center, a fitness room, community room, and storage for that community room so it can be used for multiple uses. The remainder of that 5th floor is residential, as you see noted there in the orange. The upper level plans of the building are reserved for residential and the vertical transportation for that residential. And you can see that outlined here. The area in white is the common area, which is on this building a significant proportion of the area of each floor because of the narrow footprint of the building. And then the penthouse floor plan is what you see here, which actually includes a clubhouse and terraces, along with the rooftop pool. Here you can see the building in context. It has the building to the south, which is 1522 on the lake, and a variety of buildings to the north, and you can start to see how the scale of this fits within the scale of the buildings both to the south and to the north, and actually to the west as well, as you can see here. Some additional context: this is the view in early spring when we first submitted this application from the Oak Leaf Trail. You can see the 2 on the left to parking decks for adjacent buildings, and the view on the right is of 1522 on the lake.
And our development will bring $55 million in investment into the city, provided an estimated $20 million in increased tax revenue over the next decade. That means significant new resources for critical city services. Third, while we're not requesting city funding, we are committed to local hiring. Though not required, we have voluntarily committed to 20% resident and minority contractor hiring. Additionally, we anticipate a significant portion of the work will be completed by union contractors. And finally, we believe this is the best last chance to restore and rehabilitate the historic Gall Mansion and return it to its great prominence as a Prospect Avenue mansion.
Through the course of the application for the detailed plan development, we've had a lot of input and a lot of comments, both from city staff and elected officials, but perhaps more importantly from neighbors in the area. We've had two formal neighborhood meetings and several informal discussions with other neighbors in the area. And what we've come up with was a list of wide variety of changes. Probably the most dramatic is a reduction in the footprint of the building that allows for a narrower east-west dimension of the building and also allows for a setback of between 20 and 26 feet along the bluff side of the building, which allows a lot of breathing room for this building and access to that bluff.
Many businesses like mine, and the problem we have is attracting and keeping young talent in this city. I will tell you that Angela Diamante and everyone else will tell you that there's too many going away parties. There's young, talented people leave this city every single day. And this project, particularly the amenities of this and the density of Prospect, okay, again, I don't have a horse in the game, but it's fairly obvious. I mean, if I'm at 1522, it's a magnificent building, but it's an amazing street. It's a magnificent mile of Chicago for us. It's Wilshire corridor for LA. And that's all about change and it's all about progress, but we need these kind of amenities.
The current defined plan development building that's been approved was between 110 and 111,000 square feet. Now we've got, as Alderman Bauman pointed out, a $370,000 square foot building. It's like trying to put the Queen Mary on one of the lakefront ponds. I mean, it's that ridiculous. So to say that 1522 is opposed to all development, I can't speak for everybody there, but I can tell you that the answer to that, from my perspective, and many of the people I talk to there, that is just not the case. But it should be the right development.
One of the things about Stevens, they're a really good company, and they have been really working hard to build a workforce here in the city of Milwaukee. And they have so many programs. They have an apprenticeship program for high school. They have OSHA safety trainings. I mean, they have so much to offer the city. And I think it would just really be a shame to let them walk away and not create these jobs that we really need here in the city of Milwaukee.
But I graduated from Milwaukee High School. I'm not a born privileged person that's worried about views or anything like that. I'm worried about the density. I do not oppose development there, appropriate development. And what we saw earlier when we were waiting and we saw the Brewers Hill development, that was appropriate. That was in part for the, in conjunction with the neighborhood that we saw. I'm worried about the bluff. Once you destroy the bluff, it's not going to come back.
This building is exactly what I think the city needs as far as amenities. It's going to be a marquee building. And I do believe that the Gall Mansion will be successfully moved. One last comment is that remember, almost every single building that is on that bluff, there was a historic house that was torn down to build that building, whether it was torn down to build it or beforehand. Here we're trying to save it.
Mr. Chairman, I appreciate the testimony of the residents, both for and mostly against. I think that there's obviously always a vested interest. Particularly, we see the folks from 1522 are one of the abutting properties, and so the size of this proposal certainly does impact that, and I can understand why they've come out and in numbers and for the reason and rationale doing so. I'll just cut this short because it's been longer and we still have a longer agenda. I support more urban density. This may not be ideal for everyone. I think that it is a proposal that is aesthetically attractive. I think that it can absorb the amount of density that we find on Prospect Avenue. We've seen that, and we will continue to see that. We're seeing that with another project that'll be less than a block or so down. I'm going to move to recommend passage at this time.
Due to a petition filed by neighbors in opposition, the project needed 12 votes to pass the council. So while it received 10 in favor and 5 against, it has failed to move forward. Since even before it was chartered as a city, tensions over development in different parts of Milwaukee have helped shape its politics. That 180-year battle played out most recently in the reappointment fight for City Development Commissioner Rocky Marcoux. Citing concerns about development in areas outside the booming downtown, members held up his appointment at the July 6th meeting of the Common Council. On July 19th, he appeared before the Zoning, Neighborhoods, and Development Committee to allay their doubts.
We're proud of what has been accomplished, but as always, looking for ways to do more. We'll continue to look for new approaches and new opportunities to expand success across the city. In that light, the desire of the Common Council to see even more job and economic opportunity and commercial growth outside the greater downtown area is heard loud and clear, and is supported by the department and the Barrett administration. To assist in this effort, DCD will be proposing a new position of Neighborhoods Economic Development Specialist. Not to be confused with our Commercial Corridors team, this position will work hand in hand with Common Council members to target new growth opportunities, fill business vacancies in your districts, and assist in carrying out Common Council member-led priorities and initiatives. In addition to this, I will commit to working with any alderperson who wishes to have regular feedback sessions with a group of stakeholders of their choosing to discuss development issues and opportunities in their respective neighborhoods. My commitment to the Common Council is that the Department of City Development will not rest on its laurels. We are redoubling efforts to expand department communication with your offices and work in partnership with council members in carrying out our joint mission to add value and opportunity to every neighborhood throughout the city. That's an excerpt of the letter that I delivered yesterday. And the genesis of that came from as the discussions evolved from both this committee and individually with a number of the members as we moved forward. And I understand the council's priorities in terms of where it wants to go. And I also understand that amongst some members, the feeling is that we have not been as responsive as we should be. And it's my commitment that we will, in fact, be responsive and moving forward in a way that meets the needs of the local alderpersons. There are people who disagree with decisions that I have made. And I understand that. There were some people on the previous item that obviously greatly disagree with a position that we have taken. Ultimately, I'm not in this position to get everybody to agree. I'm in this position to move forward an agenda for change, an agenda for economic development, and there will be people that will disagree. And honest people can disagree on any number of things. I think, though, that even my harshest critics would have to say that I do bring something to the job every day that I have always valued and I will continue to value no matter what I do. And it's something I learned early on, and it's about personal integrity. And I do not make decisions based on trades. I do not make decisions based on pressure. I make the best decision that I have with the information that I have in front of me. And sometimes I make the wrong decision, but ultimately it's not done with anything but integrity. And that's what I'd like to leave you with today, is that I've been proud to serve in this position for 12 years, and I've certainly been proud to serve for 18 years with the Milwaukee Housing Authority. I've spent my career in public service. My hope is that I can continue in that service. And the integrity that I brought to my prior service, that is what I carry the rest of my life. I will not part with it, and I will not make decisions other than what I feel are decisions that are made with integrity.
One of the issues raised at council with some of the people who did not vote in support of you was the rate of black male unemployment in the city. Just yesterday we had the reporting out from the budget office about employment in the city of Milwaukee, and we again ended up in a discussion about black male unemployment. What things do you believe are being done by DCD to help to address that issue? And what things do you have planned to be done to help to address that issue?
And I think we all acknowledge that the level of unemployment in this city is egregious, particularly African-American male unemployment, African-American unemployment in general. One of the things that I think we have been effective at is preparing land for new businesses to actually move in, particularly manufacturers. The Menominee Valley is an example of that. Century City is our latest example of that, where the city has invested, and the council obviously has supported that investment, of transforming hundreds of acres of brownfields, land that nobody was putting to any productive use, barely paying any taxes, into areas of opportunity for jobs creation. That's one way to start the cycle of reemployment, to provide a basis for companies to be able to build something, but it's also important that those companies hire folks from the neighborhood. One of the main emphasis that we have at Century City is to continue to work with Employ Milwaukee, as well as partners in the faith community who have taken a lead role, particularly with folks returning from incarceration, in terms of how we can provide job opportunities as companies locate in Century City, companies locate in the Menominee Valley, or for that matter, if somebody's just moving in on North Avenue, because not everything is going to be in an industrial park.
As a new council member, can you speak to the TIF and your philosophy as to utilizing here in the city of Milwaukee?
Since I've been commissioner, more TIFs have occurred outside the downtown than at any point in the city's history since TIFs existed. Not only the TIF in the Menominee Valley, there's 6 TIFs in the valley, Century City. And I might add, Century City was a significant heavy lift because it not only relies on tax increment financing, but it also had $11 million of capital directly from the levy, which was a significant investment by the city and the council and the mayor in terms of faith in moving that forward. And then the council also had faith that our brownfields team, which has been largely responsible for so many millions of dollars in grants that we've received throughout the city, would in fact be able to get $9 million in grants. And the council voted knowing that there was a $9 million hole in the initial budget. And we've filled that hole. Our team has been able to attract that money. So my philosophy is, and we're going to need to spend more money at Century City, and we're going to need to spend more money in the 30th Street corridor, and we're going to need to spend more money in Bronzeville and on North Avenue and on Mitchell Street and on many other areas in the city. Alderwoman Lewis and I recently met on the Northridge Mall situation, and we will need to spend money on the northwest side as well.
It is noteworthy to say that you have many people here in the community who support you, many of them that support me, and I know very well, and I think that's a testament of the work you have done. But in order for me to be effective in my role as a representative of 40,000 people, it's paramount that me and you work hand in hand, and you let me know how I could be an effective servant on behalf of the people I represent. So I'm looking forward to that meeting with you tomorrow, and I hope it's a very fruitful meeting. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any others? All right, again, the motion is to recommend confirmation. First off, are there any objections to that motion? Okay, hearing no objections, there will be 3 votes in favor, and there will be then recorded 2 abstentions by Alderwoman Coggs and Alderman Rainey. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. Okay, so the matter will carry out of committee on a 3-0-2 vote.
This time, the council confirmed Mr. Marcoux's reappointment on an 11-3 vote. And that's a look back at some of the important issues from the most recent Common Council cycle. For the City Channel and Council Rewind, I'm Dustin Weiss.